Let's continue to count down to HeroesCon 2023. Stay tuned to see some of the great comics I plan on getting signed. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and welcome back to another pop-up shows that I'm putting out the week leading up to HeroesCon 2023 down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And what I'm doing here is just showing you some of my prep work, and I'm showing off some of the comics that I'm planning on taking with me to get signed. Some of them are going to go to CGC, some of them are just going to get signed, I hope, because I've got a big list of artists that I want books from and got 3 days to do it in. If it's anything like last year, I literally spent 2 full days in line with my wonderful wife, who would spot me in different lines. She would go to a different line and wait as a placeholder. I'd get finished with one artist and I'd catch up with her, then she would bounce off and go to another line. And we did 2 days of that pretty much solid from start to finish. And then finally, on the last day of the con, I finally got around to buying some comic books, and I ended up doing really well. I got some great books, but it was very stressful because that whole last day was trying to dig through every vendor there was pretty tough. So I don't know what to expect a lot this year, although my expectations to get the stuff signed is pretty big. So I'm going to go through some of the stuff I'm getting signed. I'm talking about some of the artists that I'm getting stuff from. But I'm not probably show you every book that I'm taking with me, because not everyone may end up getting signed. The artists are signing. Most of them charge for their autographs these days, and I blame this on CGC. Thank you, CGC, for coming in and raising the prices on everything. I mean, there was a time and a place where you could go to a con and you could pay for sketches, and there would be just a handful of people who were actually asking for money for an autograph, or they were asking for donations to the Legal Defense Fund, Heroes Fund, things like that. But that changed, and I, of course, blame that on CGC completely, just because they're getting paid to witness a signature. How could the artist not get paid too? I get that. I don't blame the artist in this case, but now it's to a point where you really can't get everything signed that you'd like to get signed, but it is what it is. These are the times we live in. Now, before we get started, and I'll show you off some of the books I'm going to take with me, definitely hit that like button, slap the subscribe, and definitely hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my regularly scheduled programs on Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. or some of these pop-up shows that are going to be occurring continually for the next week up until next Friday when we get to HeroesCon. In fact, the show on Friday at 10 a.m. on Friday, I will be in line already, so I won't be live with you guys, but I hope you enjoy that episode. And think of me as I'm standing in line with thousands of other people waiting to meet some of these great creators. So that's it. That's enough of that spiel. Let's get into the books. Alright guys, so I picked out a handful of comics from a select few artists that I'm going to get autographs from, and maybe I'll be able to do one more show this week and I'll show you off a few more other books, but let me show you the ones I'm planning on getting signed. Definitely on this one right here. In fact, I've got a couple books for this artist, but this is the only one I'm probably going to get signed because his signing fee is pretty expensive, and we'll see if it's increased from last year. And I'm talking about the great Jim Steranko, and I've got a copy of Captain America number 111, this iconic cover. This is one of my favorite Marvel covers of all time, and if I had had a chance last year at this time, I would have gotten this one signed. However, I had a spanking copy of issue number 13, that third issue of Captain America that Jim Steranko did, and I got that graded. That was my first foray into getting books signed and then witnessed at the same time, obviously, and then taken to a facilitator who got it into CGC, and I got a great 9.0 on that, and that was a wonderful book I got from Heritage Auctions that I cleaned and pressed. This, I'm not actually sure where I got this book from, to be honest, at this point, but it's a pretty good copy. I don't think it'll get up to that 9.0. Outside hope, but I hope it hits into that 8.85 range. But the fact is, I want a copy of this signed by Jim Steranko in my collection. This, to me, is probably the greatest Jim Steranko cover out there, and we can have that debate. There are plenty of great covers to talk about, but this is my favorite one. And as I said, it's one of my favorite Marvel covers of all time as well. But this right here is real good. I'm probably going to do, I've already cleaned and pressed it, but I think I'm going to go back and do a little bit more dry cleaning around the spine over here. Maybe could use a little bit more touch up. I've got a few days before I go to the con. I'm going to try to get all of these books into, especially, definitely the ones that are going to go to CGC. I'm going to bag and board them, but I'm going to be cutting the windows out where and place exactly where I want that signature. Now, on a book like this, the signature I want up here is this big, giant white area that's going to show up really well. And I'll protect it with painter's tape, and I should show you that. Maybe on the next episode, I will show you one of these that I've cut the windows out for so you can see how I do my prep work. But this is the one book I'm going to get from Jim Steranko. I've got a Nick Fury #1, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. #1, that I may also get signed, but we'll see. Like I said, Jim Steranko is not a cheap signing person. I think last year it was $50 for an autograph, and that's when I immediately realized that my money was just flying out of my pocket last year. It was enormous how much money, how quickly you could overspend and not even know how much you were spending. It was confusing me. Some people might be able to track it better, but it was like, wow, this is really expensive. But great Jim Steranko cover. Let's go to the next couple books. So, coming back again for Heroes Con for a second straight year is Roy Thomas, the great writer and editor at Marvel Comics, also DC as well. I mean, this person is one of the greatest Marvel creators of all time. The amount of characters that he has created over the years is enormous, and it may be second to only Stan and Jack. I mean, it's enormous how much he did. I don't think people give him the credit that he's due. But let me show you a couple books I plan on getting signed. I'll tell you this, I got a bunch of my John Buscema, Tom Palmer original art pages from the 70s. I had 4 or 5 of those. And he, of course, wrote those books. And I was able, John Buscema had passed many years ago, so I obviously never had a chance to get him to sign it, but I'd had the great Tom Palmer to sign all those pages. And last year it was my pleasure to finally meet Roy Thomas and to get him to sign the rest of those pages. And I'll tell you that's another thing. That fee just for signing those original art pages was enormous as well. And the funny thing was he was actually doing comics for free, but if it was prints, if it was for CGC, if it was original art, I mean, again, the money was just flying out of my pocket, and I had to pare back what I got signed. This year, I don't have as much for Roy Thomas, but I did pull a couple books, and let me show you the first one here. It is a facsimile reprint, but it is a spanking brand new, near mint copy, maybe minty copy of Conan #1. Of course, he wrote this. It would have been great to be able to get a Barry Windsor Smith autograph at some point, but this right here, it's a recent book over the last year that the reprint came out, the facsimile reprint came out, and I'm probably going to get at least 1, maybe 2 of these sold, and I may hold on to them. I'm not getting it CGC'd, but what a great book, and this is a book that I may offer up to the community if anybody's interested in something like this. Reach out to me before Heroes Con next weekend, and I'll throw in a couple extra comics like this, and we'll have them available for the community. But you guys have got to reach out and let me know. But the other big I shouldn't say big, the other book I'm getting signed by Roy Thomas, this one I'm planning on getting CGC'd, and I'll tell you my plans for it. This is a copy of X-Men Legends #1. This is I believe it's Unknown Comics variant, but it's a little, let me take the comic and I'll take it forward a little bit here. And if you can see the comic, of course, it is a recreation, a homage to X-Men 141 by John Byrne. This is done by the great artist Art Adams. And my plan for this is to get this signed at the show by Roy Thomas, have CGC witness it, and Art Adams is actually going to be doing a CGC signing in their in-house private studios. So my plan is to get this book signed and to send it to have CGC take it with them and get it signed by Art Adams in their studio as well. So I'm going to get those 2 signatures on there. So I'm kind of excited about that. That Roy Thomas actually wrote this issue. If you read this book, it is a continuation of what happened to Wolverine after X-Men 182. We don't see him after that, and we kind of continue with that adventure a little bit. So I thought that, and it's a very recent book, I think over the last year or so. And I hadn't even really known about this until I started looking up books for Art Adams, and I'm like, well, that's really cool. And I'm, such a fan of the John Byrne X-Men Days of Future Past. When I saw this, I was like, oh, I got to get a copy of that. This would look great signed by Art Adams. So, and then I opened it up and I realized Roy Thomas had written this. So, okay, 2 for the price of 1. Well, that's not really true. It's really 2 for the price of 2. It's what it's going to end up being. But those are the 2 of the books that I plan on getting signed by Roy Thomas. Now, we'll continue with this theme of getting multiple artists on books, and the next artist up that's going to be there at HeroesCon this year is Scotty Young, and he's got so many books that you could go to. His books like I'm trying to think. You've got Strange Academy. You've got The Me Who You Love in the Dark. He's written Chew. He's written, and then of course you've got all of those wonderful illustrations he's done, the covers he's done with the baby Marvel characters or other characters and like that. And I'll be honest with you, I got a chance to meet him this last year, and I talked to him and I said, honestly, as much as I love your art, I think your writing, especially on Strange Academy, has been great. That's been one of the best books in years at Marvel, and it reads really well. I mean, that was some of the best character development that you get. It wasn't these throwaway characters as much, and just what a wonderful series. And anyway, I ended up pulling a couple books for him. I don't have a lot for him that I want to really get signed, but I did want to get this. And this is a copy of Department of Truth number 8. And he had done one of the variant covers to this. And if you notice, there's a signature already on there. And at the same location where I got Scotty Young, they had also done a James Tynion signing. So I had James Tynion sign this, and I think I had met him after I did the Scotty Young, and I didn't know they were both going to be at the store, or else I would have taken this and got Scotty Young at that same store earlier, but I didn't know James Tynion was going to show up after that. But anyway, James Tynion's on there. I'm going to take it to HeroesCon. I'm going to get Scotty Young to sign that as well. This is just a book for the PC. I think that's pretty cool. It's not one of those baby covers that he did, but it's definitely in that Scotty Young style. And then the second book I'm going to get signed is relatively new. It's Edge of the Spider-Verse number 1, and with the variant cover with all the most popular Spider-Man characters right there. And of course, this is pretty relevant now with the new Spider-Man animated movie out. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll tell you this. I'm no spoilers here, but I really enjoyed that. And in fact, it's funny, I don't feel like I'm affected by the movies as much to go out there and buy comics of characters. That's usually not the way. Usually it's, I like comics, and then I go see that movie, and then I compare the two. But I'm not necessarily compelled to go out there and find out more about a character from any of these, because generally I've already been invested on all these characters. Like a lot of us, we grew up with comics most of our lives, and these characters are part of who we are. But I will tell you that after watching that Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man animated movie, it actually made me want to go out there and read more about Spider-Gwen. I mean, I've seen the covers, and so many covers out there and books, and I don't want to say I poo-pooed it, but because that's definitely not my Gwen Stacy. My Gwen Stacy died in issue 121 of Spider-Man. But that was a really interesting character from that movie. Honestly, I felt like that was more of her movie than it was Miles Morales. But you guys let me know. Give me some feedback. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about that. So that was it for Scotty Young. Now, a third artist, I've only got one book I'm going to take, and he's a great writer and very legendary at Marvel. It's Larry Hama. And, of course, you know him from G.I. Joe comics that he did for years, and among other things, but that's where I know him from. But I've got a copy of this. This is patch number 1. Of course, this is Wolverine. And this was I think it was just a limited series. Here, let me turn that. I've got get some light on that. What is going on? Sorry for the glare there, guys. Let's see. I don't think I'm helping that. But this was a variant cover to issue number 1, and if you recognize that art, it is by the legendary artist John Romita Jr. and his longtime inker Scott Hanna. And let me go close on this so you can see it, and you'll have to excuse me, but you've got my monitor is a little bit lagging, so if I delay, that's what's going on. So up here at the top, where is it there? Right over there, you see the JR, of course my finger's right over top of it right there. John Romita Jr. signed this last year at HeroesCon, and down below, and you can hardly see it because he chose a dark blue paint marker. Scott Hanna's autograph is down there at the bottom, and I wasn't a big fan of that, but one of the things I do when I go to a convention and to get autographs is I don't necessarily look for new books to get signed as much as I do look for the books that I've already had other creators sign on them, and then I'll take those books. So this is a book, and I just happened to open it up, and well, who wrote this? And it turns out that Larry Hama actually wrote that. So my plan is to get him to, there we go, got that glare, there we go, is to get him to add his signature to this. That's the only thing I'm going to ask for Larry Hama this time. I've gotten him in other things before, so to add him to this, though, would be pretty cool. All right, let's put these books down. And then the last creator for today's pop-up show that I'm going to get autographs from, and I probably will cover this creator again because I've actually got original art that from pages that he wrote that I've got other artists, the artist on those to sign. So I've got my work cut out with this person, and I will tell you this, the books I have here are just a representation of the books that I've got pulled for him, because not only is he a longtime writer, he was also an editor at Marvel. So some of the things could actually expand into books that he edited that I've already got other signatures on, and ones that he wrote as well. I'm probably just going to cut it down to the ones he wrote, and I'm going to start with books that I've already got signed for the most part. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And I am talking about Tom DeFalco. And let me show you this right here. In fact, I got this signed, I believe I got this signed either last year. I'm not sure where I got this. It was either down at HeroesCon or at Baltimore Comic-Con. This is X-Men, Spider-Man 259. It is the origin of Mary Jane. It is done by the great artist Ron Frenz. And, of course, they've got homage to Tales of Suspense 39. And if you see right there between Spider-Man's legs, and I'm covering it up, is Ron Frenz's autograph. And my plan, who wrote this? Who wrote all these great Spider-Man issues of this time was Tom DeFalco. Now, so I plan on adding him to this, but also attending the show is Jim Shooter. Now, Jim Shooter, of course, the longtime editor-in-chief at Marvel after Roy Thomas, the longtime comic creator. He's written so many books, and he's gotten rather expensive as well. So, to be honest with you, I probably won't add Jim Shooter just as editor-in-chief on a lot of these books. There's certain books that it makes sense, like if you have a Star Wars, Secret Wars books, the Spider-Man 252, which he oversaw, things that he's famous for. Whether he was a creator or editor, it's got to be a bigger book than just a regular issue like this. So I don't want to add up the cost too much when I start adding him to a book like this. So even though, as you can see, I've got these nice little yellow tabs up here at the top, this tells me who I need to get signed on these books. Jim Shooter may not make the cut on this one, but I noticed I've got 3 tabs. There it is. It's not sticking up. 3 tabs up here, and you're going, well, what's the 3rd tab? Well, the inker Joe Rubinstein is going to be there as well, and he did the inking on this book. And that's an artist that I could cover in the next video, I'm sure, but his list of books, the pile of books I've got in there, is probably second to Tom DeFalco in the number of books that I've got that I need to get signed by him. He's inked so many great things, and like this book right here is a Joe Rubinstein book. So my plan is to definitely get Tom DeFalco and Joe Rubenstein on this, and we'll see about the cost when it comes to Jim Shooter on this. Now, same principle goes to this. This is a facsimile reprint of 238 of Spider-Man, the first appearance of the Hobgoblin. And if you notice right above the Hobgoblin here, I got this signed last year by John Romita Jr., and the idea was, I actually got one of these graded for my PC, but Tom DeFalco wrote this, and I'm definitely going to add him to this book. Now, the one I would like, Jim Shooter, of course, editor-in-chief as well, but the one I would like to really add to this is the inker, which was John Romita Jr.'s dad, Senior. Senior ended up doing the inking on this book, and I think that would be really cool. That would be a goal I would really like. I mean, he's not getting any younger, guys, so hopefully there will be an opportunity somewhere down the road to add Senior to this. And then the last book I'm going to show you today, again, another book that's already been previous signed. It's another Spider-Man issue, and this one is issue number 282. You've got that great classic border that Marvel did in the late 80s there, and you've got the artist on this. Now, I gotta check to see who actually did the art on Spider-Man here, because it might have been friends. I gotta check. It might have been friends. I'm not sure on that. In fact, I'm glad I pulled this book up so I could double check. But the artist on the inside is Rick Leonardi. Now I think he's going to be there, but I've already got him on here, and he is signed down here towards the bottom, and I'm butchering the glare right there, but you can kind of see it, did it in silver. But this is a book I'd like to get Tom DeFalco on as well. Jim Shooter, of course, still editor-in-chief, so we may or may not on that as well. But these are 3 great books from Tom DeFalco, from my list of things that I like to get signed by him. Maybe in the next pop-up, as I said, I'll show off some of the original art that I plan on taking, and those probably will take priority over some of these comics. But again, we'll see how much it's going to cost, and how much money I've got on me. All right, guys? It's all about the Benjamins in some of these cases. So that's it for the books for this pop-up video. All right, guys, thank you for watching today's video. As I said, this is a pop-up video. This could pop up anytime during these next few days leading up to HeroesCon. I hope I get at least one more episode that will come out before Friday. And that's why I asked you to hit that notification bell, click on that, and you should be alerted to whenever one of these shows just pops up. So let me know what you think of the books that I showed off in today's video by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. I'm curious to find out your reactions to some of these books. But that's it for today. If you guys are ever interested in any of the books that I show off on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on Instagram. And again, I sell a lot of comics, so I have an eBay store. You can check out the link to that or to my Shortbox page as well. You can definitely find those links in the section below. Just click on the little arrow and it'll drop down. You've got lots of links there and everything. So definitely reach out to me at any time if you're ever interested in any of these books. But that's it for today. I will see you for the next episode, whether it's a pop-up or a regular scheduled show. I hope you show up, and I hope you leave me some comments and let me know what you think of the show and of the books, of course. But that's it, guys. I'm out of here. I'll see you for the next show. And remember, every comic has a story.